Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Schlichtman. I am a member of the Arlington School Committee, and for the purposes of the meeting tonight, I am Chair Pro Tem to lead us through this organizational meeting. It is now 6:07 p.m. on Thursday, April 9th. Congratulations to my colleagues who were reelected. Congratulations to Ms. Carpethorne, who was elected, and congratulations to me, too. Also, congratulations to the town for passing an override, which is going to make the next 3 years of this work significantly more productive. The task tonight is to elect officers. We'll start with electing for the office of chair. Mr. Thielman, would you like to make a nomination?
I nominate Laura Gittleson for chair.
Any other nomination? Or any seconds?
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Yeah, we're all here. Opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Gittleson, on attaining the chair of this committee. Next, we will elect a vice chair of the committee, Mr. Thielman.
I nominate Liz Exton.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Now we nominate for the office of secretary.
I nominate Ms. Schlichtman.
Second.
Okay, I've been nominated and seconded. Any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a unanimous vote. Now we have before us a list of subcommittee assignments. I need a motion to approve the subcommittee assignments for the period of April 2026 to April 2027.
So moved.
Mr. Thielman, motion by Mr. Thielman, second by
Second.
Dr. Allison Ampe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a unanimous 7-0 vote.
6.
6-0 vote, yeah, 6-0. Mr. Thielman, Mr. Carden will be late tonight. One of the roles at this meeting, as the start of the organizational meeting, is to read the land acknowledgement statement, which, do we have it? Okay, hold on. Yeah, I've got it here, BEDL. On April 26, 2021, under Article 85, Arlington Town Meeting voted 222 to 1 to 2 to encourage all town entities to celebrate and recognize the heritage of peoples indigenous to Massachusetts and Arlington by including a land acknowledgement at the beginning of the town's public meetings. The Arlington School Committee shall include the beginning of the organizational meeting at the beginning of its first regular meeting in October. As part of the land acknowledgement, it shall be read in a substantively similar manner or form from the following. We acknowledge the town of Arlington is located on the ancestral lands of the Massachusetts tribe, the tribe of indigenous peoples from whom the colony, province, and commonwealth have taken their names. We pay our respects to the ancestral bloodline of the Massachusetts tribe and their descendants who still inhabit historic Massachusetts territory today. One other thing we do at this meeting is to acknowledge the norms and standards of the school committee, where the incoming chair will read that aloud and invite all members of the committee to sign it. Ms. Gittleson.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is file BDAE, School Committee Norms and Standards. We, the Arlington School Committee, acknowledge that a school committee meeting is a meeting of school committee members that is held in public and not a public meeting, and that we will make every effort to ensure that meetings are effective and efficient. To that end, we acknowledge the importance of subcommittees, and we and the superintendent agree to utilize them to focus on specific topics in depth and to prepare for presentation, deliberation, and possible action by the school committee. We, the Arlington School Committee, set forth these standards and norms that we will all commit to abide by as individuals and as a committee. 1, represent the needs and interests of all students in the district. 2, exercise leadership and vision, planning, policymaking, evaluation, and advocacy on behalf of the students in district, not in managing the day-to-day operations of the district. 3, conduct our business through a set agenda. Emerging items will be addressed in subsequent meetings through agenda items. 4, provide full disclosure. Each member will provide input, encouragement, express concerns and positions, rather than withhold information from other members. When a committee member feels that there has not been full disclosure, an objective process for revisiting the issue will be used. 5, maintain an open environment where each member is empowered to freely express opinions, concerns, and ideas. Committee members will work together to clarify and restate discussions in order to strive for full understanding. 6, keep an open mind and accept that they can change their opinions by recognizing that they are not locked into their initial stated positions. 7, make decisions on information and not on personalities. Committee members will act with the best information available at the time, considering data, the superintendent's recommendations, proposals, and suggestions. Committee members will strive to make the best decision at the time. 8, debate the issues, not one another. The committee will engage in critical thinking, expecting all committee members to freely offer differing points of view as part of the discussion prior to making a board decision. 9, not take unilateral action. A committee member's authority is derived only through a majority decision of the committee acting as a whole during an open public meeting. 10, attend meetings well prepared to discuss issues on the agenda and will be prepared to make decisions, striving for efficient decision making. 11, strive to have no surprises for the committee or superintendent. All members will receive the same information on all topics in a timely manner. 12, strive to reach decisions by consensus. Discuss with respect, disagree without acrimony. When consensus is not possible, all members will publicly abide by the majority decision. 13, understand and respect the chain of command as it concerns roles and responsibilities and direct others to do the same. 14, review and revise our standards and norms as needed as part of the committee's self-evaluation.
Excellent. We have now concluded the business of the organizational meeting of the school committee. The first full meeting of the school committee will occur at 6:30 p.m. tonight. It is now 6:15 p.m. and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Thielman?
So moved.
And second by Ms. Exton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.
Good evening. Tonight's meeting of the Arlington School Committee is being conducted in person and through the use of Zoom. This meeting is being simultaneously broadcast on ACMi, and the meeting is being recorded. Right now, all members are present. If we have a member join us by Zoom, we will take a roll call vote, but for now, we do not have to. Persons wishing to access the meeting using Zoom may find information on how to do so on the town's website. The posted agenda and supporting materials for this meeting are also available on the town's website. Due to open meeting law restrictions, the committee cannot participate in or access Zoom's chat function. While everyone is welcome to observe this meeting, our active remote participation requires advance notice. All participants are asked to activate their camera and shall provide their full name in the interest of developing a record of the meeting. We have the AEA rep is here, Erica Tonishell.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good
Lovely
evening.
to see you all. I was sick last time I was supposed to come, so it's great to be back.
Welcome. We have no AHS student reps today. So we will go to, and we have no public comment. We will go to the first item on the agenda, our presentation about Metco.
All right. Ms. Smith is going to join us, and I'll be driving the slides, so let me know when you want me to
Perfect.
switch it.
Thank you.
We wanted her to come and provide some programming updates, and we have some events coming up that it would
Lots
be
of things coming
great for folks to come to, so we thought it might be a good opportunity for her to come and provide a bit of a programming update. So Ms. Smith, take it away. Let me know when you want me to switch slides.
You don't mind me leaning in because I'm tired.
Lean on.
So, I'm going to do a little lean with you today. So, yes, I'm doing a presentation on Arlington MECO. My name is Rochelle K. Smith. And just for those that don't know me, I'm the MECO director. I'm also a MECO alum. I'm also a current MECO parent. And I'm in love with the MECO alum. So the agenda for tonight will be introduction, Arlington MECO wins and glows. We'll talk about priorities, key initiatives and action steps, resources to support success, and Q&A. I just wanted to start with a picture. So this year, we have been graced with a MECO alum to now hold the seat of the MECO president and CEO of MECO Inc. And so Dr. Candace Sumner has been doing tours, and Arlington was, I think we were about like second or third on the list, and so she visited us, and that is our MECO classroom space here at the high school, room 436, and that is a, like, kid, that's all the students from like, oh, I think I even see an elementary student in there. Yes, so we have lots of students there, including our MECO Plus students that we call, which we adopted from Newton MECO, our students who live in Arlington. So we have MECO and MECO Plus students in that picture. So the Arlington MECO program is grounded in access, opportunity, and belonging, with a focus on supporting students academically, socially, and emotionally. We currently serve 62 students, 23 at the elementary level and 39 at the secondary level, including 7 seniors. And our work is driven by our strong partnership, strong voice, and commitment to ensuring every student feels seen and supported. As both a MECO alum and a current MECO parent, my leadership is deeply rooted in lived experience. So allowing me to lead with both perspective and purpose in service of our students and families. I am grateful for our dedicated Arlington Public School staff, school leaders, and families who make this work possible, because I cannot do it without them, and I look forward to continue to build on this strong foundation. So usually in the beginning of the year, and we will do it this year, we have an ice cream social, the MECO Directors Association, and I forgot to mention, I'm the vice president of the MECO Directors Association. So we typically organize an ice cream social with all 33 districts, and this was the beginning of our school year this year, where myself, Dr. Margaret Cradle-Thomas, our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful bus monitor, Miss Dion, and our newly hired social worker, Brittany Orlandi, here at the Ice Cream Social. So our MECO wins this year. Our high school students have shown strong leadership service and community engagement, participating in leadership conferences, HBCU college fairs, and community building initiatives, while also sharing Black history with the broader community through daily announcements here at the high school during Black History Month. Their impact extends beyond the classroom, from serving over 150 women at a Boston homeless shelter to organizing donations during the SNAP benefit crisis. We are extremely proud of one of our seniors who was a feature speaker at this year's MECO Directors Association Educators Conference, and honored with a new laptop for her powerful voice as our graduating class now looks ahead to college and military service. So this is our wonderful student, Amelia Mejia. She gave the speech at the MECO Directors Association. You can see some of the pictures there, and of course I had to show that her name was on our our itinerary, our agenda. She did a phenomenal job. I don't think there was a dry eye in the room, and she did that in front of 450 educators from across Massachusetts. And that was her first time actually public speaking.
Wow.
Here, the students said, Ms. Smith, we want to do a gingerbread contest. So Dr. Margaret Cradle Thomas was one of the judges. And this student featured here is one that actually won. She did a fantastic job, but I just want to showcase that, they have ideas they want to do, and we make sure that they get done. Some of our students really love basketball, and so that is our MECO Plus and MECO students. So in that picture right there, you will see MECO Plus and MECO students. And we had some families join us from Gibbs and I'm going to say Artisan students. Yes, so we had families join us for the Harvard versus Brown men's basketball game this year. They also got to meet the Brown University basketball coach, so they were really excited about that. This is something student-led, so Amelia Mejia, Fatmata Savage, and Leah Campuzano led the initiative. They were really upset about the SNAP benefit crisis. They were really concerned about families and children, and so they got on the phone. They called Children's Services of Roxbury, and they collected those items that you see there. Was a lot. And Mr. Barry, which is our high school history teacher here, he actually put everything in his car and he brought it out to Roxbury, Children's Service of Roxbury, and met us there. Here, this is where we were at the homeless shelter where we served over 150 women in the shelter. We served lunch at Woods Mullen Shelter. We were joined by our wonderful principal at Artisan Middle School, Rochelle Rubino. We also have Mr. Barry, Jay Barry, back there, and that's also a MECO alum on the side. His name is Dwayne Brown. He was a Sharon MECO alum, but he also is the volunteer service coordinator there. And so the students and families joined us. So the students not only joined us, but their parents joined us as well in a day of service. And the special part about this is the volunteer service coordinator announced that we were Arlington MECO. We were in the building, they started clapping, and so folks that actually shared some history with Arlington and also with MECO, some of the homeless guests of the shelter came up to the students and myself, and they talked about their experiences. And they weren't MECO students, they were folks that were in MECO towns and got to have MECO friends and be a host family, so they got to do all of those things. So they were sharing that with our students, so it was nice. And this last one was just recent. We went to MIT for the MECO Directors Association Youth Conference, where our students got to hear from staff that work at MIT, and they got to do a financial literacy workshop. They really enjoyed that. They really had a wonderful time there, and they walked away with some connections as well. So it was really good. And some students also took a tour afterwards of MIT. All right, for our middle school students are actively stepping into leadership through equity initiatives, including launching a monthly MECO club where they engage in meaningful conversations around culture, race, and their lived experience. They are also partnering with school leadership through monthly lunches with the principal, contributing directly to belonging efforts and helping to shape more inclusive school community. These students continue to lead and grow through unofficial partnerships with Best Buddies and leadership opportunities with the MECO Directors Association. So here we are on our way to a Google field trip. We stopped by the front office to make sure that they know that the students are leaving the building, but we stopped for a picture as well, so that, they're like, Ms. Smith, you always taking pictures, but I'm like, we have to document our experiences. So we're on our way to Google, and I'll talk more about Google a little later. Here we just took students to the Ideas Middle School Conference in Lexington, where we were joined by their principal, Rochelle Rubino, and also Katie, I want to say her name. Hodgkins. Okay, I was going to say the other last name. Okay, perfect. Katie Hodgkins, which is she's a part of the department, and so the students got a chance to engage in conversations around how can they be upstanders in their school community. And because they already have had so much practice in this, they were kind of experts there, and folks came over to us and said, your students are amazing. And I was like, yes, I know, thanks. Okay, and our elementary students have been doing excellent work building community and connection, particularly on the bus. and through our newly developed programming, First Wednesdays. During these bi-monthly gatherings, students come together at Arlington High School to engage in community building activities, hands-on STEM experiences, physical activities that promote both connection and confidence. And as we look ahead, students are especially excited for the upcoming traditions like annual field day and the end of the year celebration, which continue to strengthen a sense of belonging across the program. And that's what our students are always saying. Our elementary students always say, we want to get together. We don't get to see each other enough, so you could change it. And so this was implemented because I wanted to make sure that I get to see the elementary students as well, because this is one of those positions that you get to grow with your students. So you start with them in kindergarten, you get to graduate with them in 12th grade. So I always want to make sure that I'm present in their lives. And so we had a STEM day. They got to make slime, and we had some Lego kits. They got to build Legos, but they got to do that with our high school students as well. So our MECO and MECO Plus students came into the classroom, and they got to help them. And it's nice because it gives me a little break as well. Here is where we circled up. We talk about what does it mean to be a MECO student, and our lovely assistant principal here at the high school, Bill McCarthy, came in, and they were super excited to ask him, do students come to your office when they get in trouble? They were a little confused that they actually go to the deans, and it was nice that Ms. Tivnan walked in at one point, and I was like, this is one of the deans that they're talking about, and so they got to find out. But they quizzed him about the school. They asked him how many students were in the school, how many students does he see every day, and it was really nice, and they would not let him go, so he literally was worn out that day, and he said, Rochelle, you owe me. And so this is the first Wednesday photo that just happened this past Wednesday. We were together. We came here. Mr. McCarthy is so great at helping us to organize things. So we were in the gym this time. And what I did was I invited some of our students at the high school, MECO Plus students, to come into the gym and to connect with the students. And they did. And they got to ask them questions. And we played fishy and basketball and all kinds of events. So, yes. And that's them. All right, so as far as priorities, as instructional-wise, in response to identified gaps in academic performance, I'll continue coordinating and expanding tutoring supports, regularly checking in with students' progress and the school teams, and advocating for students across rigorous coursework and academic opportunities. And so sometimes our students will say I don't know if I want to do AP. And I'm like, yep, you can do AP. And if you can't do it, then we can always move you down. It's hard to move you up. So that's part of that instructional priority, equity and culture, building on student feedback around belonging. I will build on creating consistent spaces for student voice, such as student groups and leadership opportunities, while partnering with staff to support culturally responsive practices that help students feel seen, supported, and connected. And some of that work is done in our empathy interviews. Management operations, just to sustain this work, I'll continue strengthening day-to-day coordination across schools by maintaining clear communication with the staff and the families, aligning resources to student needs, and ensuring our programming runs smoothly, consistently for all Arlington MECO students. And in another part of management and operations, the part folks don't really get to see is I lead a clear and relationship-centered onboarding process, and that begins with a program overview where families learn about MECO's purpose, the expectations, and available supports from the very start. I also meet with families one-on-one and with the students to build a relationship and rapport. They answer some questions, and we ensure that they feel prepared and aligned, setting a foundation for a smooth and supported transition into Arlington. And so this year, I'm excited that we will usher in 14 new students. So I'm super excited about that. But the process is rigorous.
I'm going to prompt you here to talk a little bit about, of these things that are priorities for you all, I imagine we'll get into this to some extent, but funding has been level from the state for several years, and for Arlington, what that has meant is that we're running fairly thin and we don't have the dollars to increase salaries that go along with the program, and that has meant some constraints and some reductions. Can you talk a little bit about what has been made more difficult or more of a juggle for you, because you have a smaller team now, of these priorities, and sort of how you've gone about consolidating or adapting to meet the resources, and maybe what would be helpful?
Yeah, I think listening to students, they've been saying they really want, like, they like to have that regular person that's in their space and, like, you know, in the MECO classroom space, particularly even at the middle school level. They want someone there that's just solely for them, like that's there, you know. And so we did have a staff there last year, and we don't have that this year because of the way the budget constraints are. And so I think for me, it's been trying to figure out how to make sure that each of these students in this program and the families still feel connected. And sometimes that is hard because when you don't really have those people in place, you're really stretching yourself pretty thin. So that's why most of the work is done here. I bring them here. I bring them here. I've had to
Creative solution.
Yeah. I think the other thing is they always want to do things. So there's always things they want to do. They always want to go hiking. They always want to have end of the year celebrations, and they want to do that in community and connection with Arlington as well. And so, you know, when you don't have enough funding, you're not able to do those kind of things, or you have to get creative with things as well. Our families really enjoy and like to have tutorial services because we know sometimes when students are coming in, there is a gap there. Arlington is one of the most rigorous communities, educational communities that's out there. You hear that. That's why families want to come here. That's why families move here. And so I want to make sure that the students are, you know, where they need to be. And so some of that funding does go to tutorial services as well. And when you start taking hits like that, it cuts into tutorial services and not being able to really keep them at the same level that everyone else is. So that's some of the, yeah.
Thank you.
And so we did empathy interviews with our high school students this year, MECO and MECO Plus students. And so we'll be getting together to kind of put that information together and see what we find from that. So it's been a positive experience for the students. They've been very excited about signing up and sharing their voice. And we made sure that it was about 5 questions to ask them just so, you know, their sense of belonging and what does MECO mean to them. And that's why we thought it would be important not to just hear from students that are directly in the program, but students that are also benefiting from the MECO program as well, our MECO Plus students. All right, so this year Arlington MECO is prioritizing targeted academic support and student voice, which I said before, and those are the key drivers for student success. We'll continue to expand access to high quality tutoring. We're going to keep trying to do that, enrichment opportunities, while strengthening our MECO student body to ensure that student experience directly inform our practices. Through these focused efforts, we aim to accelerate learning, deepen belonging, and enhance outcomes for all MECO students. So we do an annual Bridging to Communities Families Walk, and a wonderful Bishop family attended that walk last year and invited us to Google. And that is a picture of us at Google. And it was such an enlightening experience. It was in Cambridge, so it was really close by. But it was wonderful to be able to take all of those students, middle school and high school, to Google.
What they love.
They love the Legos. They also were really impressed that they had a hair salon and a nail salon. They also were very impressed that there's a live chef there, and he taught us some things about bread and spices and they get to cook their food if they want to. It's amazing in there. It really is.
They have places where you could take naps.
Oh, yeah.
It's so many floors, and it's just every floor is like a different theme. It's really nice. All right, so to continue this work, we're looking to strengthen staffing through expanded academic support opportunities, and that's just partnering with our school folks. As hopefully we get some funding and we can get some dedicated staff to the students. Ongoing targeted professional development around culturally responsive practices and student engagement will be critical to sustaining our impact. I think it's important that we have conversations around culturally responsiveness. And so part of that work is I do a presentation about MECO to our new teachers that come in every year. Our principals will invite me in to do information sessions about the MECO program. And so it's great to be able to talk about it and, answer folks' questions. And some things may be hard, and I think that is the time that we do that there when I present. And as we continue to work, I acknowledge that we're navigating real constraints due to the limitations of our state MECO grant, and which impacts our ability to fully expand programming and supports. In many ways, this has shifted more of the day-to-day responsibilities, as I said, onto our school teams, where you have high school principals helping with our elementary students, including our principals, social workers, and teachers who have shown up consistently for our students. Even Ms. Tonishall over there. She's in the MECO classroom space all the time, too. And so every year we try to make sure we are present at Town Day. This is something I thought was very important. We are entrenched in this community. We are a part of the fabric of this community. You are an original town, 1966, so I think it's important for us to be out there for Town Day. And so every year we host a table with our friends of Arlington MECO. And this right here, of course, I have to show off Mr. Barry again, because he's been a rock star for us. And so we host a table every year at Town Day, and we tell the folks about what MECO is and how they can support.
Could you tell us a little bit about the Friends of Arlington MECO
Sure.
group?
Yeah, so this year I'm excited that we finally got our nonprofit status, so we can really start raising some money. But this is a group of community members and families of Arlington Public Schools that come together, and we meet regularly to talk about what the program needs. And so they've been instrumental in providing snacks for students for after school. They've been instrumental in providing support services, so financial support to families. We had a family in crisis and in need this year, and Friends of Arlington MECO stepped in and helped. They've been wonderful when our students are staying after and calling me on the phone and saying that they're hungry and they need, can you cash app us some money? We need to buy a pizza. And they've been instrumental in supporting some of those needs. You need a pizza too. So this is what Dr. Holman was talking about when there's events coming up. And so we have our Bridge into Communities event, and that is an annual thing that happened. And it really was birthed out of COVID and wanting to still come together, but in a safe way. And so we'll be at Franklin Park this year. Guinea Fowl Adventure will be leading that, and that's an Arlington-based organization. And so they'll lead us a walk. Again, we did this last year at Franklin Park. We switched it up. We were at the Arboretum one year, well, 2 years or 3 years, and now we're at Franklin Park. And so I'm super excited to get out there. Our high school students are excited. They're like, can we get volunteer credits? Can we? And I'm like, as long as I see you, absolutely. And I'm going to buddy you up with one of our elementary folks. So you really will be volunteering. So we're excited to be out there this Sunday, April 12th. And then the next day, we'll be spending a lot of time together because it's Advocacy Day. And this is the day where we are going to the State House and we are advocating for $35 million because we need an increase. When you keep us level funded, you are really dinging us. Yeah, it's a cut. It's a cut. And so we have been charged by our legislators, our MECO champions, to step up and come out and wear our Arlington swag and show support for the program and talk to our legislators that day. So I hope you all come. Questions?
Questions? Dr. Allison Amprey?
Thank you. Thank you for coming. So I had a couple questions. First, what is MECO Plus?
So I am just in all transparency, I'm a Newton MECO parent. And so that MECO program, they have opened up just like we have. The space is not just the students that participate in the MECO program. Students that are in a MECO district are MECO Plus students. They're MECO Plus. So we're saying you may not be directly in the program because you don't live in Boston, but you are a MECO student because you are in a MECO district. So that's why we call students who are resident students MECO Plus.
Oh, okay.
And I adopted it. It's not my original thing.
Okay.
I adopted it from Newton MECO.
Okay, okay. And So I saw that right now the elementary school numbers were much lower than our middle school, and you said we've got 14 coming in this year. You mean next
Yeah,
fall?
yeah.
So is that elementary students, or is that, okay, so
It's
we're
all
gonna, it's
elementary.
gonna be bumping up
Absolutely,
again.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have all elementary coming in. And so we have 23 elementary students. We have 19 middle school students, and then 20 high school students. Yeah, that's how I split it up. But I split it up elementary and secondary in the slides.
About how many have we had the last few years around this time?
It's gone up and down. So I think at the most we've had about 72, and then we went down about 70, and then we did have some. So they take the exams. They take the exam schools, and they go off to Boston Latin Academy. And so that's why we kind of were down. Like we had some that left in the middle school level. And so we are at 62 now, which we've been capped to 69. And so that means we are down 7 this year, and we have 7 graduating, all but 1 going to college, 1 going into the military. So
The cap is a new thing from the state, started this year?
yeah.
Yeah, where they're not allowing programs to expand at a rate that exceeds whatever sort of cap rate they've set. And there are a number of districts that find this particularly frustrating, us among them, because we've been trying to get the enrollment back up to the level that it was at before.
Yeah.
Right, that's, okay. Interesting, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Schlickman.
Yeah, thank you. 3 years ago in 2023, we sponsored a resolution to MASC, Mass Association of School Committees. And every year, MASC runs a delegate assembly to adopt position papers and position statements for the organization. I want to read aloud the 2023 resolution text from Arlington that was adopted by a vote of 92-3 by the Delegate Assembly. Be it resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls upon the Governor and the Legislature to create a stable funding structure to support METCO and its partner districts that fully funds and the support provided by METCO and the cost of providing services delivered by METCO's partner districts. That was our resolution from Arlington. Now, the thing about MASC is that these resolutions have a 3-year expiration, so it'll be up for renewal this year. So I'm going to ask the chair to put on the agenda for the next meeting, renewing the METCO resolution so we can present it again to the 2026 Delegate Assembly. This is a wonderful, successful program, and Arlington strives to make this work and do great things for kids because it's great for METCO kids, it's great for METCO Plus kids. And I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Are there other questions from the committee? Yeah, Ms.
It's not a
Tanischel.
question. I just want to thank Rochelle for all her support and specifically just lift up the work that we've seen our METCO students do, not just in AP African American Studies, but we have a number of students who also are taking AP Gov this year, who previously said, I don't know if I can take APs, as Ms. Smith said. And next year we have many more who are signing up to take the class. So just, really want to thank the school committee for, approving that a few years ago. And it's been really a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good.
I have a question. I realized when I was getting ready for this meeting that I know METCO students, and I don't know very much about how they get here. So you talked a little bit in your presentation about your process, and I've heard from Dr. Homan that it is a very well-established process. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what those 14 students that you are talking about now, what have they done already with you?
Absolutely. So what it starts with, and I always tell the families coming in when I do a program overview, I always show them what it looked like before when you applied to METCO as opposed to what it looks like now. And so for me, when I apply for my children, I had just had them in the hospital, and that's the first thing you would think is I need to sign my kid up for METCO. And so when you get out of the hospital, never mind healing or anything, you're going down to the DMIC office and you're going to sign your kid up for METCO. And that's what I did, because you leave out with a birth certificate. So now, because the MECO Directors Association, we really, really fought for families to be able to have choice. And so what that looks like now is that lottery system where they get 3 choices. Because we want to know that you want to come here. Instead of you just getting forced to go here or there, we wanted to make sure that they have a connection. So these families that are coming in chose Arlington. They get 3 choices, and Arlington was one of their picks. It may not have been the top pick, it may not have been the last pick, but it's one of their picks. And so what happens is I'll find out that we have available seats, and then I'll tell MECO Inc. I have this many available seats for this grade level, and then they will send them to me. So I don't have a choice on what family is coming into me, but I get to see in my queue. So there's a separate database. And so I'll go in there, and then I start reaching out to those families immediately, and I'll say, hello, you've been referred to Arlington MECO.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. When in the year is that? When does that start
They just
for you?
changed it too. So for me, I reach out to Dr. Holman in December.
Okay. So
to say,
And I say, I don't know.
yes, and then in February, I say, hey, what do we have available seats? Like I'm asking in December, then I'm asking in January, and by the end of January, I usually get some numbers, and then I reach out to MECO Inc. to say,
Okay,
hey.
and then your process starts.
And then the process starts. And so once I reach out to the families to welcome them to Arlington, I say, hey, you're not yet accepted. We have to go through the process, which is a program overview. And if you are still interested, then we do a one-to-one session with you and your student. And so you have to, I schedule program overviews. I've had 2 so far already, and I have 2 more scheduled. And I tell the families all about MECO, but all about Arlington MECO, all about Arlington Public Schools and what that looks like for them. And then I tell them, if you're still interested, I'm going to send you an email, and we'll follow up with a one-to-one session. And so that one-to-one session is a series of questions that we ask, and it's just to really get to know the family. And I try to tell the family, I give them a copy when they're in, and it's in person. So I make them come to the district. You need to see the ride that your student is going to be on. It's important for you to come into the town and see. And then the one-to-one, they come back as well. But I said, don't coach your child. I want to see them in action. I've seen a kid run wild. It's fine. We want to see what's coming, so we know how to prepare ourselves. And so we do a one-to-one session with the student. We do a one-to-one session with the caregiver, and then I still will check to make sure we have seats available. I tell them I'm not accepting you on the spot because I have to make sure that it's seat availability. We do not take seats from our MECO Plus students, and so I will go back and check again. We're good, okay, and then I'll say, congratulations, you have been accepted to Arlington MECO, and here's all the registration information. And I work in partnership with the registration department to make sure that the family feels supported through the process, and then they register. And now I'm excited this year, Friends of Arlington MECO will be giving tours for families. Okay. And so they'll be able to tour their school. That's when I assign them their school as well. When I accept them, I assign their school, and then they'll get a tour, or I'll link them up with the principal so that they can do their own personal meet and greet with the school.
And those 14, so you know we are going to have 14 students. Do you know, you don't know yet who those 14 individuals are?
Because some folks will say, they'll go all the way up to the process, and they'll say, you know what, I don't think that I'm going to be able to commit to this. And they've done that. So sometimes I'm working through the summer to ensure that I have the right numbers. And so it's a process.
And how does that break down in terms of grade? Like are most of those kindergartners?
Yes.
Are they okay?
This year, most of them are kindergartners, and then we have some 3rd grade and a few 1st grade.
So you said this year, because I know that that's been a challenge the last couple of years. What's that been like last couple of years?
Oh my gosh. So I'll have program overviews, and I think the families last year were like, I'm not ready. I don't think I'm ready for this, and then they won't. But the other piece to that is the applications at MECO Inc. were far and few. So they weren't getting applicants the way that they would normally get them. The demographics of Boston is changing. There's also, it's expensive. It's like $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment in Boston. And so families are purchasing homes outside of Boston. And that's a one factor. You need to be a Boston resident in order to be a MECO student. And so that was a huge challenge last year, was that we did not have enough files to be able to fill. Yeah.
Do you
those
think
numbers.
do you think that that is more families choosing Arlington this year in that top 3 is part of that? Or do you think some of it has to do with other districts not taking as many students?
So it's a combination. I think that, some districts aren't taking because of those caps, so some folks were able to go over their numbers. We didn't have caps before, so some folks were able to take as many as they please. If the district wanted, then they were able to take that. And so we're not able to do that anymore. And so now some districts aren't taking students, and so we get lucky. You don't want to take them? That's perfectly fine with us. We'll take them. And so I think we've lucked up on that. I also think it is in the leadership as well. There's been a lot of advertisement. There's been a lot of talk about MECO. There's been a lot of events about MECO. And so MECO was just on Chronicle last week, right? And so you're seeing a lot more about the program, and folks are interested. So
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Smith.
I'm going to the cultural.
Have fun.
Thank you. The multicultural. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the vote and possible approval of job descriptions. Dr.
Okay.
Homan?
So in your materials for tonight were 4 job descriptions. These are all central office job descriptions. And we do have more coming because we have other consolidated roles as a result of this year's budget process. These are first in part because this reorg is something that our offices have been knowing was coming. And so we got started with some of these job descriptions. Some of the other ones, other members of the administrative team are maybe drafting first, and then we're going to review them, and then we'll bring them to the committee. So there is one for Executive Director of Access and Engagement. This is the consolidation of 2 administrative roles on the floor, the Director of Communications and Family Engagement and the Director of Equity, Access, and Opportunity. And then there is one for an Enrollment Engagement and Communication Specialist. This is taking 1.0 Communication Specialist and a 1.0 currently vacant Enrollment and Engagement Specialist and combining those 2 roles into a 1.0 position. We had originally thought maybe we would put communications back with grants, which is a combined role we had previously. When we decided that we wanted some additional specialist support in the business office, it made more sense to put the grants role with that, and to put the communications role with enrollment engagement, access and opportunity sorts of work, because we also have some engagement work that won't be as supported because of reductions next year, and it'd be nice if this role could help support some of those family engagement efforts. And then there is a job description for central office administrative assistant. Right now we have 1.5 Unit C roles that are administrative assistant roles in the central office. One is currently split between the Welcome Center and Equity, Access, and Opportunity offices, and that will become sort of a all-floor serving role, and it will still sit in the Welcome Center. She's to be the greeter. And right now, that role, this new one, Ms. Diggins' role and Ms. Knupp's role, which is the central office executive assistant, all 3 will serve the whole floor. So the way that that's operating now is that any one office does not have sort of a dedicated administrative assistant. We're all sort of working for everybody who needs any assistance on any given project at any given time. So this position would still sit out front, would keep some of the functions that are still in that position, including she manages, this is sort of the closet here, is sort of the hub. And then there are satellites out at all the schools, and so this is sort of the inventory spot, and so she helps schools make sure they have what they need if they have a student coming through Thompson who family needs this, this, and this. She'll help make sure that they have what they need, and then there are liaisons at the schools that receive a stipend for that. So she manages a lot of that. So that stays in the job description, and then there are other things that are specific to the HR department that currently the .5 position does. So that's what is getting combined there. And then there is a position for the business office that is a business office specialist, and then they would focus particularly on grants and managing all of the sort of ins and outs of grants, and also provide some backup for procurement and accounts payable and receivable. So we're some combination of the four of us here can answer questions that folks have about either of these. We're happy to make some revisions. Our request would be that either we do a first read, and if we think there are significant revisions, pass along to a subcommittee, or bring back with revisions to the next meeting and approve it. Or if we feel like they're ready enough to approve and we want to make some minor revisions, approval with revisions, so that we can go ahead and get these posted and filled, because there's some dominoes here that impact other schools and positions in the district. And so kind of knowing what our plan is with these will help us move some other stuff along. That's all.
Questions? Mr. Thielman?
So we could make a motion tonight to approve these and,
And if you did, we would post them.
yeah.
We're required to post. Some of these we have people who are very qualified for the role, might be appointments.
Yeah.
One of them, this business office one, we think we're going to have to do a search for. So, but we're going to post internally only because we have people who can fill them.
Yeah. I think we should just post them. I move approval. I move that we approve them for posting.
Dr. Allison Ampe, did you have a question?
Oh, I'll second the motion. I'll second Mr. Thielman's motion.
Okay. I had a question about the executive director position. I'm just, given that it's supposed to be collapsing the communication and the, what was DEI in the past, I'm just concerned that there doesn't seem to be anything in the job responsibilities that really speaks to communication.
So the communication function, so some functions from communications and family engagement moved into this position. Some didn't. Communication in particular is going to be, I think that role is going to report here, but have not fully mapped out the new org chart for central office yet. Most of the communications work that has happened with that role through my office has been run through my office. So there are pieces of that I'm anticipating we're just going to take back. There are engagement tasks in here that are also tied to communications, because we have a lot of stuff come through from our town partners to put in our newsletters, et cetera, that will roll through the engagement office. And some of that is here. So collaborating with town agencies to make sure families have access to services that we don't offer, or enhancements, that's part of that. It would tie to communications, but I don't know that I'm going to make this role directly responsible for full oversight of all district communications, so much as I'm going to make that an expectation that I'm working on with the principals.
Okay.
Because that's where it lived before.
Yeah,
mostly.
I guess my hope had always been that we were aiming to improve communications with families, and I'm just not sure where that lands now. And that if that lands here, then it feels like it should be a job priority, but if it's going somewhere else, then that's fine.
Right now, I think some of that is coming back into the superintendent's office. Some of it will follow with the partnerships and engagement piece. And I tried to get those engagement elements in here. But, I mean, we're losing a lot of capacity for improving communications. So, we'll keep continuing to try to improve communications. But this role also, the communications role, if you look at that, has Parent Square rollout and oversight and functionality built in. That is not something that when we had a .5 grants comms before was part of the job.
Right.
So we are anticipating that specialist role will take on more leadership, and there is a slightly elevated salary attached to some of the expectations that are in that job description. So that's also part of it, is we're looking for people to take on more of the leadership responsibility in the specialist role also. But I didn't want to overload the functions, frankly, of this job description either, and I do think a lot of the communications oversight is going to come back to my office.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Then we can have a vote on the movie. So the motion is to approve all 4 job
Yeah,
descriptions?
that's what it is, I just approved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then that passes.
Thank you.
Len's not here, right? Okay.
He's not.
Okay. Next is periodic budget update, fiscal year 26.
All right. Mr. Schweitzer.
Hello, thank you so much for tonight. So this is my 3rd finance update to the committee. I did one first back in November when I got here, January, so this will be the 3rd update for the year. The report in front of you tonight is based on finance information and information known as of March 27th. If we can go to the next slide, just to kind of set expectations for the presentation tonight. I'm going to review the memo. So within the attachments for the meeting tonight, you do have the kind of traditional memo in a traditional format. There's some additional structural changes in that I'll speak to, as well as I do have included as an attachment is like a 1-pager of revolving account balances that I'll be referencing during the presentation as well. So I'll go through some of the structural changes, review the methodology of this projection and how some areas might have changed from prior. We'll review in more detail the currently adjusted balance, and then review some recommendations going forward based on our discussion. So first about just the structural changes of the report, I think first and foremost, tonight there's an actual presentation slide deck. I think in the past, kind of stayed true to the memo format, but the narrative or any commentary within it beyond the finance charts has been more of a how-to read document. And so I just added some narrative into it in addition to this, sort of presentation tonight. So addition to that, you'll see some of the additional commentary, particularly between pages 2 and 4 within the separate areas of encumbrance, within projected, the over-under, and then I also have some commentary that we'll touch upon the slides here in a moment. So that's something that is an addition, and I can answer any questions to comments within the memo that you have. The other thing too is based on some feedback is really singled out and named those individual add-ins or offsets that are kind of adjustments off of the books or off of those finance charts. So instead of just lumping in offsets and saying it's X thousand of dollars, or, this is a lump of all the things that I'm tracking offline that aren't recognized on the books yet, I do single out and call those out, and there is a slide on that later here. And then lastly, again, I already spoke to it, but on pages 9 and 10 of your memo, but more cleanly, you can find the 1-pager in the document is a review of the revolving account chart. That mirrors the document that I gave during the workshop, during the budget process, so giving you a little bit of historical information of the balance, health, revenues in, expenditures out for the revolving accounts that appear in the budget book on the revolving fund summary chart. And what I've done off to the right-hand side of that is present year-to-date information, but then also what my projection is towards the end of year. And within that expenditure number for each of those funds for my year-end projection includes any offsets that are also spoken to in the presentation. So I'll spend a couple minutes here on the methodology, not too different from the former 2 or prior 2 presentations you've had, to ensure kind of the integrity of the financial information in what I'm presenting. There's nothing that I'm manually manipulating when it comes to what's the budget, what's actually hit the books, and for this report, any of the encumbered on the books for non-personnel expenses as of March 27th. I think it's important for the integrity of the report and for transparency that none of that's being manipulated. For payroll projections, this report's a little different from January, is that I'm not including the Munis-generated payroll encumbrances. I do detail that pretty thoroughly on page 2 of the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the presentation. But for the sake of the projection and the clarity of a thorough review, is the offline analysis that I performed for this update is a number I'm more confident in. It takes into addition more than just base pays. It really strictly looks at a lot of those accounts that may have already exceeded a budget or are nearly exceeding a budget. And I'm taking into a traditional, sort of projection for the remaining 3 years or 3 months of the year, looking at historical trends, how are we year to date, what potential items might come up. So some of that is informed in the outward projection as well as within the add-ins as well. For the non-personnel projection, the reports that I've given you to date, and I believe historically it was appropriate, probably through January or even through March sometimes, would still be reporting all non-personnel line budgets to be spent fully. We're at that point in the year where I'm about a week and a half away from kind of a new encumbrance deadline. So we'll have better numbers here as we approach year end. Anyone that has an open PO can't be placing additional orders against those open POs as we get into May and June. So we'll be able to kind of refine that non-personnel budget line. So there is a little bit of expected savings within those said categories. And then again, the new encumbrance deadline actually is next week, April 16th. So as we get into end of April and May, we'll have a better idea of how those lines are looking. And then if we can go to the next slide, I do detail kind of the add-ins and add-outs. This is just a chart kind of further speaking to or visualizing on page 9 and 10 of the memo. At the bottom of the object summary chart comes to, based on the projection again of the payroll from an offline analysis, the encumbrance is out, expected amount of the budget to be spent is at about a negative 900,000. In the red category here are some of those add-ins. Again, this add-in section is kind of my attempt for anything that's off the books that I'm still tracking that potentially could hit in future. So one of the things I'm tracking is all of our current retirees that we've already gotten notice of. The benefit of that is we can budget for that known in FY27, but you have to actualize the cost this year for some of those payouts, contractually for sick time and such. So right now, based on the retirees we have, that's about 95,000. Projected vacancies, I know we're approaching year end, but I did just want to capture all the positions that we are hiring for and are kind of going through that process. They might get hired here end of April and still have about 2 months or so of salary. So I do have a sensitivity to recognize some positions are to be filled and have that expense going forward. Athletic stipends, this was lumped into that one category back in January, but just want to call it out. We fixed this in the budget for 27, that athletics was paying all their stipends to one line, but that also blended the coaches and the bus drivers. We had done a little bit of a transfer amendment out of that transportation line to support the transfer back in September. So within the athletics budget, I still am expecting about a $60,000 hit for the remaining spring coach stipends as well as any of the transportation related stipends. So I'm still tracking that offline. And then this last item as an add-in, I've been reporting this since I got here, that specifically that number is for the lab transportation out of district contract. We're still seeing about an 80% year over year increase based on relatively the same population. This is still an add-in because after we do all these offsets that I'll get to next, in the coming weeks, I'll be able to present transfers that would alleviate some of the budget and allow me to move some money into the transfer category of SPED. And once we do that, then I'd be able to actually encumber that PO. So for right now, this is just being tracked offline. And then lastly, I can answer any questions you have on the revolving account transfers, but all of the numbers that are here at the bottom for offsets to revolving accounts will alleviate almost $1.4 million from what's on the projection right now. And then so at the bottom of page 3 on the memo, or I'll just speak to it first. So the adjusted offline projected is a negative $66,000 bottom line as of right now. So if we go to the next page or next slide, at the bottom of page 3 in your memo, I do kind of detail out some of the factors that could change this number to make it positive, or it might slightly increase a little bit more negative. And then I get into recommendations, next steps. So some of the things that could impact this or even eliminate some of this deficit that's projected again right now offline is some of the remaining personnel pay could potentially come in under budget. Again, I have something like $35,000 for potential vacancies getting filled. Not all of those might get filled, and or we might have resignations in the next couple months, so that might not equal. Projection for the non-personnel lines may not be fully spent based on the current projection. I spoke to this, that next week we do kind of impose a new encumbrance deadline, as well as no new open POs can be ordered against. So as we get those invoices in May and early June, we'll be able to liquidate those open POs and return that to the bottom line. Projection for revolving account revenues and or expenditures could be higher or lower, so that could potentially increase the potential offset numbers that I've already presented in this report. And then the last one, this is still a pending item. The House has already approved the fair share amendment bill for this year to recognize the additional monies. So the additional appropriation in the House would fully fund our circuit breaker portion of transportation. That would give us about an extra $75,000 if the Senate passes it as such and it gets passed by the governor. That could be another $75,000 that we receive this year and actually could use this year. So some recommendations, and this is on page 4 of your memo. I speak to it a lot further, but just some recommendations of options that we could balance if from the prior slide the things didn't work out. To balance it, we do have options. So number one, in order of kind of my preference, but open to discussion, is using current year circuit breaker money. So we have budgeted FY '27 using the legally allowed carryover of FY '26 receipts. So right now in '26, we're going to receive almost $2.25 million. That is being budgeted for next year, but that is something administratively we could tap into this year to help balance. Number two is we could increase revolving account offsets. I know I spoke to this on the prior slide, but just the nuance of this is that some of the accounts like the preschool, the bus fund, some of those could be spent down to zero. I don't have them as zero right now, only because some of it's still based off of projected revenue. If that revenue or expenses change when we get into early July, I could then, once I know what our June 30 balance is, maybe do $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 and really spend some of those down to zero. The other thing here is that the offsets produce that the building rental still has about $100,000 in it. I can present why a little bit more, but we've already kind of discussed that. That is really our only account to kind of address, emergencies or, repairs and such that have to be addressed maybe in the summer and stuff. So I'd love to get into the summer still having something in that account, but certainly open to discussion. And then my third recommendation would be that we withdraw from the sped stabilization fund. I spoke about this at FinCom. So we have put in, I think it's $774,000 about 3-4 years ago, and that has accrued interest. The sped stabilization fund can actually maintain everything within its own fund. So it accrues interest and it stays within that account. So in the last 3-4 years, it's accrued $50,000 in interest. If we withdraw money from that, that then subsequently reduces the principal, and then we don't grow interest as much as possible. The other thing too on the sped stabilization is it's a process to have a vote here to take money out. Select board also has to vote to take money out. So administratively, there'd be some coordination of public meetings that would have to take place. So administratively, it takes some time, but then also it's, once you hit it, you then reduce the principal within that account.
The Senate passed that supplemental budget today, I'm told.
They just passed it?
Yes.
No.
Senate.
The Senate, okay,
Senate did.
okay,
There's a conference committee that take a stand in a month.
nice. So just go to the last page just before I open it up for questions, just to summarize again. This is a projection as of March 27th. We still have 3 months left in the year. The bottom line that was presented at -66 is based on adjustments, and some of those might be conservative in nature. And certainly when it comes to non-personal stuff, we'll know a little bit more in the coming weeks once that new encumbrance deadline is kind of imposed. There's options, there's some time, and as you can see here with the recommendations, these things are not uncommon. I've used them previously to tap into circuit breaker now, and maybe it can get replenished in the coming year. So open to discuss here within this body, but then also I'm sure in coming subcommittee meetings, we'll discuss this further.
Mr. Thielman?
Yes, the timing of making a decision isn't really until June, right? Is that?
Yeah, so the projection right now is based on March 27th. I think we'll do another one at least in
We don't
May.
have to take any vote.
Correct. No, there's no vote or anything.
I know there's no way to take a vote probably until June, or even
For
after.
sped stabilization.
Yeah.
We would need,
So I asked the town for more info, only because you need a vote here. It can be written as a specific
Right.
dollar amount and pay specific invoices weren't up to, but that motion needs to go to select board,
Oh.
whether that has to get referred, and it could take 5 public meetings to get done. So then maybe that's something we have to move on
And the
soon.
first one, and the first.
But circuit breaker is just a transfer I can work with the comptroller on.
And it's a vote we can take here.
Yeah.
It could be presented here, yeah.
And we
But that's
can-
something that can be done in mid-July, once everything's
Okay.
posted
It
and we're
can
still
be done
closing
after the
out
end of the fiscal year.
balancing.
That's what I wanted to
Yep.
understand.
Yep.
Okay, it can be done after June 30th.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, books generally don't close until like mid-September.
Yeah.
After all of our summer accrual pays, but actually have been
Okay.
posted. So we still have time.
Okay, that's what I wanted, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Dr. Allison Ampe?
Just to clarify, so the quarterly object code chart, that's all general fund?
Correct.
Okay.
Just general fund, yep.
Okay. And how come the teacher salaries are so high over? Is that because of a
that's the grant thing,
a
right?
grant thing?
Mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly due to the IDA switch. I think some of it too is, I think this goes to why in this report I'm not relying heavily or even really taking into consideration the munis payroll encumbrance. We could talk more about this. But this projection is based on offline analysis that's more thorough. It takes into account our current roster projected out. It looks at the last several payrolls to see how those trends have been going to project out. And it also significantly kind of critiqued the non-base pay, kind of the unique pay. So the stipend pays, the project pays, really went into custodial overtime and what those trends have been. And I also looked back at the last 3 years of spring and what is that traditionally looked at. So that's better informed our teacher projection, para projection, substitutes, facilities related as well. So I'm more confident in the March number. January was built pretty heavily off the munis payroll encumbrance, which I'm not very confident in. And going forward, I think there's a place where these two could work together, but I'm more confident in the projection you have in front of you for
Okay.
March rather than looking at it compared to January.
But if those are grant things,
So,
We don't
so
have-
sorry, so
Yeah,
are
explain
you speaking
that.
to the number all the way on the far right, like negative 900?
yeah,
So we have yet to do any internal budget amendments to reflect the change in the 240 IDEA grant. So we had moved, it was about 1.3 of what was teachers instead to paras. So the net of that negative, I think it's 968 or so of teachers. That, then you see the para line, probably 10 below it is like plus 1.1. I think it's about almost a 200K under budget for those two combined.
okay.
So it's just, we haven't done any
So
internal
it's-
transfers
you
to
moved
recognize the
money
para teacher move.
This way, and the paras are,
We
The
have
other way.
service
Something
providers on
Yeah.
IDEA.
so, okay, okay.
They're now back on the general fund, that expense is
Okay.
posting there.
Yep.
We had paraprofessionals on the general fund, they're posting to IDEA. So it looks like we have extra dollars in paraprofessionals, even though we have the same number we budgeted. And
Right.
it looks like we have.
Okay, okay.
The other thing too is that we did have a number of hires in new positions for this year come in at a higher step level and experience level than we had budgeted at. And some of that was just what the market was like in the moment that we were doing some of the hiring, and also like for positions that are special education or specialized service providers, I'll generally approve over step 5. We've been very clear with leaders for next year that they need to be hiring at or below step 5, because we just can't take on the challenge of the salaries being higher, given some of the landscape around expenses that aren't as predictable as they've been in the past. So, but I know that also is driving some of the increase for teacher salaries, but the vast majority of it is because of the IDA grant.
Okay. Okay, that's all.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next on our agenda, and Attorney Cunningham is present remotely if anybody has any questions for him, is I would accept a motion to refer the March 27th, 2026 open meeting complaint submitted by Cheryl Miller to Town Council for a timely response to be sent on behalf of the school committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Oh, we have to do because Mr. Carden is on.
Oh, is he here
Is
now?
he there?
Online?
I
We don't see him.
He is here, but he's denying my,
He doesn't want to be promoted.
to a panelist
He's in
Okay.
denial.
He may not be able to.
email to try to.
Yeah, he might not be able to.
If he's not in, he's not.
Okay.
We were reminded by town council to make sure we do a roll call vote.
I didn't know that.
Now you can just do it.
Now, Mr. Carden, there is a motion on the table that has been seconded to accept a motion to refer the March 27th, 2026 open meeting complaint submitted by Cheryl Miller to Town Council for a timely response to be sent on behalf of the school committee. Did you have anything you wanted to say? Okay. All in favor? Aye. That's a 7-0 vote. Thank you. Superintendent's update.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I have a brief update for you. I have pictures of buses. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the incredible debate and speech team. I have asked for one, and I will have one, and I will put it on the next update. I know, but I just couldn't grab it fast enough today.
I saw it somewhere.
Our communications team has it. I just didn't have it for the slide deck today. But I did have to say congratulations to the incredible Arlington High School speech and debate team. This is a team that got started because of an AEF grant and the initiative of a bunch of students who really, really wanted to have a debate team. And they're so good that they placed second overall in the debate state competition. So congratulations to them. That's awesome. We also have a couple of exciting grant announcements that are tied to some of our sustainability initiatives. So the town of Arlington was awarded a grant under the Mass Department of Environmental Protection Diesel Emissions Reduction Act And that grant is going to contribute $169,172.10 towards the purchase of an electric school bus in the future, which is very exciting. And speaking of buses, we actually have a brand-new electric school bus in the fleet as of last month? About 3 weeks? Is it still running? Fantastic. So that's good news. It's brand new. So that purchase, these are expensive. They cost about $400,000. We used both $15,000 allotment from capital funds for our electrifying the school bus fleet project and a $200,000 clean school bus grant from the EPA in order to be able to purchase this vehicle. We also have to decommission a diesel vehicle every time we add one of these electric vehicles to the fleet. And has that happened yet? No, we're hoping to take a field trip to watch the decommissioning of a school bus because that sounds like a therapeutic exercise.
What do they do?
What do they do, Mr. Schweitzer?
I can't wait to experience it. So you literally have to to support the grant's final payment and the closeout, you actually have to take a picture of the VIN. You have to show it being like a drill through it, and you also have to drill a hole into the engine. Sometimes they'll go forward and even saw the chassis in half as support of the grant. So we just have to wait until a little bit later because usually late April the ground's not as wet and stuff like that. So yeah, in the coming weeks we'll go to the yard and
Cool.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
You should invite a bunch of elementary school students to come watch.
That sounds like a really fun field trip. So we're very excited about the electric bus fleet. We just have to figure out where exactly we're going to plug them all in. We're working on that. So I also wanted to congratulate what the staff advisor for this amazing group of middle school students called a small but determined OMS newspaper club. Got themselves started this year, and they have published their second issue of the Odison Insider student-run newspaper.
So cool.
And it's awesome. It's a great read. If you'd like to see a copy, I'm happy to forward a copy to you. There's an advice column in there where the eighth graders provide advice to their fellow students. And in this week's edition, there was
They have recipes in there.
they have recipes in there too, yes. In this week's edition, somebody was concerned about the classes. They had signed up for an elective at the high school, and they weren't quite sure if they were going to be ready to take the class. And one of their classmates gave them fantastic advice about some things they could do over the summer to help them be ready for AHS. It was very sweet. So good work for our middle school students. It's really exciting to have a small but determined newspaper club at Odison Middle School.
Can one subscribe to this?
I don't think
publication?
it's digitally published quite
Okay.
yet. I'm not sure if there's a subscription option, but I will inquire about it with their advisor. I have a few operational updates on administrative hiring searches. We're looking forward to welcoming, sort of, but she's been around, Dr. Eileen Woods as an interim principal for the Pierce School in May and June. She's been an interim principal and an interim assistant principal in Arlington a few times. She has mentored almost all of our principals at some point or another. She's also mentored some of our assistant principals. She was an award-winning principal in the Andover Public Schools, and she also mentors principals in Newton and throughout the state. She's going to fill in and work with their new principal, Mr. Vanderline, as he completes Century Plan and gets to know Pierce staff, students, and families. They'll be sharing some time in May and June, but she'll be the acting interim principal while Mr. Vanderline gets his bearings and gets to know some folks. So we're very grateful she was willing to step in temporarily as Ms. Greiner heads off to some new adventures in a new district. We do have some upcoming searches right now. Our bracket assistant principal, which is because Mr. Vanderline's going to Pierce, as well as Dallin assistant principal will be posting before too long. Ms. Karistis, who has been the assistant principal there for a while and has been just an incredible member of the APS team, announced her retirement this week, and we're very happy for her, but very sad to see her go because she's fantastic. So we'll be posting for that as well. And then your enrollment information is in your packet, and I'll just note that we are currently at 357 students for kindergarten. We're at about 82%. At this point, if you compare it to last year, pretty much anticipating that we have a stable class size, still have a lot of enrollments coming in at 9th grade, and so we're keeping an eye on that, and we've had about 8 students register in the past week, and I think the week before that we had about 6 or 7, so that's where we're at. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, consent, can I get some instruction from my more experienced colleagues about how to do the consent agenda?
Yeah, there's a text. You just read the text.
On the agenda
It says-
text?
You're right, yeah.
Okay. So our consent agenda is warrant number 26235.
There should be a language under there that says all items under this agenda shall be.
Oh, I don't have
I
that.
don't think you have that language.
I do not have that language. Is it on the one meeting? Hold on.
Probably not.
We can just move the contents
Just
of
move
the
the
agenda.
contents.
Okay, I'm
Just
gonna
find
move
it. We're good.
the
We're good.
contents of warrant,
We'll add that to the.
consent agenda, warrant number 26235 from March 31st, 2026 for $853,116.89. And warrant number 26245 from April 14th, 2026 for $779,596.74. And the draft school committee minutes from February 12th, 2026.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7-0, thank you. Subcommittee liaison reports and announcements. Budget, Dr. Allison Ampe.
Nothing to report.
Community relations, Mr. Thielman.
No report.
Curriculum, instruction, assessment, and accountability, Ms. Exton.
No report.
Facilities, Mr. Thielman.
No report.
Policy and procedures, Mr. Schlichtman.
We've been in existence for an hour and 15 minutes.
Arlington High School's building committee, Mr. Thielman.
We met last night, and the closeout will be sometime in the fall.
Congratulations. Liaison reports, anyone? Announcements, future agenda items.
Noting the
The
resolution, yeah.
Yes, I have noted that, thank you. Are we coming back after executive session?
I don't think we need to know.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
Are we going to executive session?
Oh, we have to go to executive session
In executive session.
first,
we
sorry.
will-
Motion to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. To discuss and potentially vote on the release of meeting minutes from executive sessions that occurred on April 10th, 2025 and May 15th, 2025 pursuant to GL 30A, Section 21A7 and GL Section 30A, Section 22G. Can I
So
get a motion?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll, so thank you. Ms. Haynes Copperthorne.
Yes.
Mr. Cardin.
Yes.
Dr. Allison Ampe.
Yes.
Mr. Thielman.
Yes.
Mr. Schlichtman.
Yes.
Ms. Exton.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so we will go into executive session. Oh, now I adjourn the meeting?
No, there's no adjourn. We just moved to executive session.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, yes, we have our lawyer in the midst, yes.
Should we wait till, are we off?
I'm leaving.
If you should indicate, I think you did kind of indicate, but indicate to the public that you intend to adjourn from executive session.
Okay, yes.
So you won't be coming back into open session.
Okay, thank you. So we will not be coming back, we will be adjourning while in executive session.